Hello and welcome to Speaker Sport Now with Danny and Matt. Today we're going to be discussing the weekend's action. First of all, Matt, the big news of the week is that Pep Guardiola has announced he will be the Man City manager at the end of the season, taking over from Pellegrini. What does that mean for not just Man City as a club, but the Premier League?
Oh, it's a massive coup for the Premier League. Pellegrini, Pep Guardiola, one of the best managers around, probably the best in the world. A lot of people rate him as. And he said he wanted to come to the Premier League, and he did it. And he went for some people might say, a safe option. Man City have the best squad, probably the best facilities as well. But he's gone there, and there's a few ex-Barcelona chiefs in charge there. But what do you think, Danny? Do you reckon he'll bring any big players with him?
There's talk about him bringing in Messi and places like that. Those are players been linked. I almost hope that he doesn't. I almost hope that Messi doesn't come in, because it's saying if he comes in, he'll be on 800 grand a week. He's not worth that. He's not worth 800 grand a week. You think, yeah, Messi, he's the best player in the world, and times he's unplayable, but doesn't guarantee you trophies, Matt. He'll be in your team, and of course he'll strengthen the team. But it doesn't guarantee you, the Premier League just because you've got Messi in your team. It doesn't guarantee you. And for 800 grand a week, you could split that between 4 and 5 other world class players that don't just improve the first 11 or a position, but improve the squad. And that's going to be the key factor for City, is who they bring in as collectively, not just at big signing.
Would you not think they might? I know what you mean. 800 grand a week is a ridiculous sum, thrown around. But from a marketing term, you look. A lot of people growing up, say people in England that like football but don't really have an affiliation. If Messi comes in, they're City fans. They will get a lot of neutrals that will watch Man City and abroad as well.
Yeah, but I don't think they need to do that. I don't think they need to do that, City, bringing in Messi. Because they've got their clubs in Melbourne and New York. And I think they're on the rise with that anyway, and they can bring in world-class players. I think winning the Champions League and the Premier League is more valuable to them than who they have in the squad necessarily.
Yeah. Well, you talk...
And I think, you said about, Guardiola, this will be his biggest test. As a manager.
Oh, yeah.
He's been to Spain, yeah, and he did wonders at Barcelona, but he had the players there and the resources with him were all in place, as they were already a big team. And you go to Germany with Bayern Munich and you walk it every year, as Jupp Heynckes did before him, and so this will be his biggest test.
I mean, look at Jose Mourinho. He won the league last season. It's the most competitive league, and where are Chelsea now? 13th, and he sacked him. That's how competitive this league is, and I do not think he'll walk it, especially first season. I think he'll find it tough. I think he'll do well.
It'll take time. There'll be, and I can see there'll be a few transitions in the club for the summer. But let's look ahead to the weekend and
just a quick before you do that. Sorry. What about Pellegrini? He's still in 4 trophies in February. That's an amazing achievement.
And you have to feel sorry for him. But it's part of the game, and I think it's not as if the club have broken any agreements. His contract's coming to an end, so it's understandable. And he's been a good servant to the club, so I wish him well as a City fan. Well, that's another issue. Anyway, looking ahead to the weekend, City play Leicester in a huge top of the table clash at the Etihad Stadium. Predictions?
I think City will win, but I find this every week with Leicester. You always think now's the time they drop off, and if they win this, I might start to believe
6 points clear.
They might actually do it.
I mean, this is the biggest test at the club.
Yeah,
away at City. It's the hardest trip for any club to make in the Premier League.
And Man City are really
and if they do win this, oh, you've got to consider them seriously to be not just top four, but Premier League champions.
I think they've got top four. I couldn't.
Oh, well, no, no. I think they do have top four. I think they do well to lose it in the position they're in, but it's getting top four, and then there's getting that top place. And after City, they go to Arsenal. I think is away as well.
Even if they get 3 points from them 2 games,
3 points out in 2 games, they bite your hand off for that. Bite your hand off for that because it takes almost 3 points whether they can Arsenal or City. It takes one of them out the race almost.
Oh, definitely.
They pull that far ahead. They're almost at the race.
If it's Arsenal, then I couldn't see Arsenal trying to catch up because they'll have a lot of games. But I think Man City will win because now's the time. This is where Man City. They've had a couple of managers, 2 managers, but still always say this is where they come into form.
They've looked solid now, haven't they?
They've kept a lot better.
They've kept a couple of clean sheets in their last handful of games, so I think they are improving defensively. There's still leaks in there, and Vardy, being the runner he will cause problems for those 2 centre backs. Mahrez as well. Okazaki is tricky on the ball, and they'll get chances. Leicester, I can guarantee you that they'll get chances, and I think they'll even score a goal. It's just a case of if they can outscore City.
With Aguero in the form he is.
Exactly.
He could score 3 at the weekend.
Another big tie is, one of the biggest ties in English football in recent years is Chelsea. Chelsea go up against Manchester United. 2 clubs that you could say have underperformed. Chelsea definitely, Man United's
almost certainly. Man United, you expected them to be near the top this season, and looking at it, they're 10 points off Leicester in first. And this, to be honest, when this game came out, when it did, you would have thought this is a top of the table clash, wouldn't you, at the start of the season? Now, Chelsea, they're not going to get top 4, obviously. They might not even get Europe, so nothing.
This time, I can't really tell with Chelsea. At the start, if this match came at the start of the season, you would have said it'd be a Man United win.
Yeah,
I think you would have put Man United win. Now it's more unpredictable, not just because the new managers come in and they've started to perform, but when looks like the form has been about to pick up for Chelsea, and they got that win at Arsenal, and they go and draw away to Watford, which is a tough game, but in the position Chelsea are in, can't afford to be dropping too many points.
You wonder, not many people talking about, but start to think about it now, because top 4 look very unlikely. It's not going to be long until it's mathematically unlikely.
You can't see Chelsea getting top 4.
What are the likes of Hazard? When your Costa's...
Well, there was talks of them, Costa and Hazard leaving in January, weren't there?
Real Madrid are interested
to the 2 Madrid clubs,
Hazard,
respectively. And I think it would be easy pickings for other clubs to come in and make a swoop on a handful of players. I don't think they'll lose too many players.
No.
They're still just because you finish mid-table in the season doesn't mean you're not a top club. And I think they will, but it is those top players like your Hazards and Costa that will be looking to leave.
One thing I would like to see is Chelsea play the youngsters a bit more. The position they're in, we're just looking now, the 13, they're not realistically going to go down.
Are they in a position to make those risks?
I think
Hitting's still got a job to do. He can't now, especially. I think it's difficult for Chelsea because when you're in a top 4 championship for title, you can't put kids in because they're not going to get you the wins. Yeah. But it's the same for when you're down the bottom, which Chelsea are. They've got a bit of a gap now. They're 8 points ahead. Yeah. Above the relegation zone, but
I'm not talking play a whole, raffle of start.
This week, you say if they lose this weekend and Newcastle win, Norwich win, they're right back in it.
They are, to be fair, but I still couldn't see them going down. They've still got enough quality there to win.
Oh no, I couldn't see them going down. But
40 points, they need 11 points.
But I think he's still got a job to do, and until that job is done, I don't think we'll be seeing too many new faces in the squad.
But likes of Loftus-Cheek, good play. He played well against MK Dons. All right, MK Dons were pretty woeful defensively in that game, but giving him game time, like I said, we're not talking about 11 straight changes.
Takes time. Takes time for those players to get in.
It does take time, but now's a better. I feel now's a better chance than anything. They've not really got anything to play for, and I think they relish it, the Chelsea youngsters getting a chance. And also, they got Costa, and they brought in Pato as well, and they've still got Remy. Do you know if you're Patrick Bamford looking at that? You must be wondering what's going on, and he's gone to Norwich now. And the same with Bertrand Traore. You must be thinking, when am I going to get my chance? You know, the likelihood that they were going to play, they were going to get a spare few minutes. But now with Pato coming in, that's 3 first choice top class strikers for Chelsea. They're not going to get the chances.
No. Well, we'll have to see. Right now, we go down to the bottom end of the table where in a huge 6-pointer, Aston Villa meet Norwich.
This is a huge game, massive game. Norwich need to win this one. Villa need to.
I mean, Villa get 3 points, and they not get perhaps a better chance, or not get too many better chances at home to Norwich this season to get 3 points.
Oh, no.
If they don't get 3 points, or not, even if they do get 3 points, they're still well behind it.
If Newcastle win, do you know if Sunderland get a win from somewhere? I know they're away at Liverpool, Sunderland. Not sure who Newcastle playing, but if they get a win, then I still can't see Villa with a win.
I mean, Villa
looking any better.
And the January transfer window has just passed. We've not seen any new faces at Villa. None of that can record. But Norwich have brought in a few, the likes of Stephen Naismith, who I really rate.
Very good signing.
Like you said, Patrick Bamford is on loan there now. And they've brought in a few other faces. How important is it, but how quickly do those players need to get into the team and start performing? Because you see teams like Bournemouth now, the players they've brought in and they're performing, and Afobe scoring goals, they're climbing up the table. Swansea as well, they've brought in a few players and they won last weekend. How important is it?
Very important. You see Stephen Naismith, I feel, has already settled in quickly. His debut against Liverpool, he scored. Alright, lost that game, but he played very well. And the likes of Bamford maybe might only be used as squad player, but he's a good player to come in, in the second half of games and stretch defences. But they need to settle quickly, and Norwich need a win here. A win would make it all the better if Newcastle get beat, because that puts them 5 points ahead of Newcastle again, and all of a sudden it looks like they're safe. That's how quick the Premier League at the bottom changes. Like a couple of wins and you look like you're going to finish mid-table. That's how tight it is.
Right, another team that is competing around the bottom, we mentioned Bournemouth. They're at home to Arsenal on the weekends. You look at Arsenal and they, at the start of the season, or the way, in 10, 15 games in, they would not have had a better chance to win the Premier League than this season. But they slipped down the fourth. They've not won in the last 4, and now they find themselves 5 points behind Leicester.
This would be the worst season if Arsenal didn't win the league. I know if they finished second, alright, fair enough. But like you said, this is the best chance they've had since they last won it 10 years ago. It's unbelievable. Like Man City, alright, they've got great players, but they've had dodgy form. This Arsenal team is coming to the prime. You've got to think next season, Man City will improve with Guardiola, I think. Spurs will probably improve. They've got a young team. Man United won't be as bad as they are this
Chelsea
this
won't
season.
be as bad.
Chelsea
Can't be.
Won't certainly
but
be as bad.
You look at the last 4 games. I think away at Stoke, all right. You've not got you've taken a point away from there. It's a tough place to go. At home, were they at home to Chelsea? At home to Chelsea, and they lost that game. And the way Chelsea have been playing, you've got to get 3 points in that game. You can't be, especially your home games. At home to Southampton again, those are 3 points, and they're good teams. They're not pushovers, but Arsenal aren't in position. You'd expect them to be winning those games, and it's just turning into a typical season for Arsenal and Arsene Wenger.
all the Arsenal fans were asking for reinforcements in January, and all they really got was El Neni from Basel.
Is it the position they need?
Not really, not the kind of class of. We've not seen him yet, but he doesn't scream out. That signing didn't scream out to say, "Oh, do you know what? We're going to win the league this season." And I think they need a striker. I still do. I really do like Giroud and I rate him a lot, but they need a different kind of angle.
Is the fault at Giroud or is it the service he's been given? Definitely. I know Sanchez has been out for a good chunk of his season now, but people like Ramsey, Walcott, they're not making their names heard enough this season.
That's the thing with Arsenal. You can't really. It's hard to point at one particular area because service, they got Ozil and Sanchez, and some games, they're great. You think these could walk the league, and then some games it just doesn't happen. In all fairness to him, the other night against Southampton, he came up against Fraser Forster, it was brilliant. He made some great saves, but yeah, there's just some games where they just look like they're great, and then others.
Look at this weekend. They're away at Bournemouth. You need to win that. And especially as City are playing Leicester, at least one of them's got to drop points.
If Leicester win and Arsenal lose, that's
even if City win, yeah. You know, they're 5 points behind City, and they're not just competing against one team; they're competing against 2 or 3, include Spurs in that.
Oh, definitely.
And so yeah, this is a must-win game for Arsenal,
game.
and this will be no easy game.
This is
especially the way Bournemouth are playing. Bournemouth haven't lost too many games,
and this is a free game for Bournemouth.
Season.
You know, they wouldn't have been expecting to get anything from this game,
and they'll be up for it. They'll be up for it. You know, and in the position they're in, they're getting momentum now. They went away to Palace and they won. Away at Sunderland in a 6-pointer and got a good point there. You know, and they've beaten top teams. They've beaten Man United.
At home,
Chelsea away as well. They know what they're doing, and they're a well-organised team.
The thing is with Bournemouth, they're a bit one side or the other. I think they got beat at home to Tottenham about 5-1 this season. You know, if Arsenal get the first goal, then they could be in trouble.
And I think that's where it's important. Yeah.
But that's what I mean. That's what's great about Bournemouth is they've not come here to sit back or they go. Flowing football. They're looking for goals, which I think is great. It's great for the neutral to see, and it should be a great game on Sunday.
Well, there are a few other big games on the weekends, but we're going to leave it at that for now. So check in with us on Monday, where we will be discussing Leicester as Premier League champions.